Ohio Governor Mike DeWine's response to the 9 shot dead in Dayton this weekend was to announce several proposals.
These are for addressing social and emotional challenges that our kids are facing, from suicide prevention to the effects of substance use crisis,
including background checks for most gun purchases. But to make them law, DeWine has to get them through his state's Republican-controlled legislature. The attacks in El Paso and Dayton over the weekend are the 249th and 250th mass casualty shootings this year. At noon outside the White House, a coalition of progressives gathered to join the demand that Washington do something.
Enough is enough! Enough is enough! Enough is enough!
They also want President Trump to abandon anti-immigrant and racist rhetoric. In Texas, freshman Representative Veronica Escobar was showing fellow lawmakers around her district last week, answering their questions about immigration. But then, priorities shifted.
Welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. It is an absolute privilege to be standing here with my colleagues who took a long journey, and they are spending a lot of time here in El Paso trying to better understand what is happening, not just in our community, but in the region.
Escobar's only been in Congress for 216 days. In that time, she's brought more than a dozen groups of lawmakers from around the country to tour the border.
I wanted you to see the port hardening of the barriers with the concertina wire. I have to tell you, just for locals, it's heartbreaking. It makes it look like we are a community, like this is a war zone. We are not at war with Mexico.
She believes that seeing El Paso, experiencing life along the border, can influence elected officials to seriously consider comprehensive immigration reform.
Okay, so they were MPP'd waiting in Mexico para su día en corte, estaban esperando, y luego ¿cuánto tiempo estuvieron esperando en México? To be able to see everything, what's going on with the agents, what's going on with the agencies, what's happening with the migrants, what's going on in the community, it completely broadens their perspective in a way that will make policymaking and appropriations much, much better, I believe.
No es la manera,
It's not the way
no
she
es la
wanted
forma,
to do it.
pero la situación de nuestros países nos hace venir.
Do you really think that just bringing members of Congress down here to see it will bridge that divide?
No, it's one facet of it.
This has got to be one of the biggest divides in America, is this border issue, right?
There's so much fear, resentment, and hatred. And I'll tell you, I understand the root of that. You know, why should my needs come secondary to the needs of a migrant? I hear that a lot. The problem is we've begun to think about compassion and policy as a zero-sum game.
So what should Democrats do when it comes to the border?
I really believe that as a party, we have to lean in.
But does that mean like decriminalize crossing the border?
I think it means rehumanizing immigrants. We treat migrants as criminals, but focusing resources on treating refugees as criminals takes the eyes of law enforcement off of where the eyes should be. So I would argue that what Donald Trump has done is make us less safe.
That was Friday afternoon. This is Saturday morning.
All right, good morning, everyone.
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. I want us to put ourselves also in the shoes of many of the agents. I do think that the vast majority of them have done the absolute best they can under terrible circumstances. The policy is heinous, but we have to be careful with broad sweeping generalizations.
We need to clear the event and end the interview because there's an active shooter at Cielo Vista.
Oh my God, can I tell them? You all, I am so sorry. There's an active shooter. We are going to need to clear the event, clear the It's at Cielo Vista, not here, but So we've been asked by law enforcement to just send everybody home. I'm so sorry we have to end this early. Yeah, thank you all for coming. Please be safe.
My name is Sergeant Robert Gomez. I'm a public information officer with the City of El Paso Police Department. We started receiving 911 calls from the public of an active shooter. Several emergency responses. The first location was the Walmart at Gateway and Hawkins. At this time, I'll take any questions.
Have you ruled out multiple shooters?
At this time, we have ruled out multiple shooters. It's still active, but as of right now, we have one person in custody.
It was semi-auto because you get pop, 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 and then once he realized people heard him and was running, that's when you get pop, 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 and he's going for death. He is going.
So you have stuff still in the Walmart?
My wife dropped her phone while she took off running, and we got our car in the parking lot right now.
My name is Greg Abbott. I'm the governor of Texas, and I want to let you know, Texas grieves for the people of El Paso today. I ask that you keep El Pasoans in your prayers. We know the power of prayer and the power that you can have by using that prayer.
It doesn't take long after a mass shooting for politicians to take to their partisan corners. In El Paso, it took just a few hours.
Bottom line is, mental health is a large contributor to any type of violence or shooting violence. We know that's a component to shootings that take place in schools. I think it's a fact.
The white man with the manifesto is becoming an increasingly common threat in the United States, it feels like. What can we do to prevent this from happening in the future?
That's for psychologists, the answer. That's something that is definitely, I think, in play, but that's beyond my skill sets.
I want to pick up on that. Representative Escobar, one of the 800-pound gorilla in this room that nobody's talking about right now is the hate crime nexus, which appears at this point to be related to immigration.
The manifesto narrative is fueled by hate, and it's fueled by racism and bigotry and division. This is someone who came from outside of our community to do us harm. A community that has shown nothing but generosity and kindness to the least among us, those people arriving at America's front door.
We'll do another press conference if we find out anything different that we can expound upon later. I want to thank you all for coming.
Congresswoman, you started the day at the center of the immigration debate. You're ending the day at the center of the gun control debate. How does that change your job and what you do?
You know, for me, I need to, my immediate focus is going to need to be here for my community and to help and pitch in wherever I can. My obligation as a member of Congress is to fight for the solutions that this country and this community deserves. This was so needless. This was absolutely needless.
That's intense. See you later. On Sunday, two of her constituents who survived the shooting, Kendall Long and his wife Kiana, grapple with who's to blame for what happened. They've never voted, but until that trip to Walmart, they consider themselves part of Team Trump.
Hashtag El Paso terrorist attack.
I'm calling it what it is now, domestic terrorism.
What does it feel like to survive something like this when you know so many other people didn't survive it?
It hurts me, especially thinking about the kids. I read this article that this 25-year-old protected her 2-year-old little boy. She died and he survived. I just thought immediately of my children, that if they were there, I would have done the same thing.
Do you think Donald Trump almost got you killed yesterday?
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest, yes.
I'm pretty sure.
Especially since I'm mixed and people think I'm Mexican.
Targeting people with, her skin color.
So what are you gonna do with your Trump support now?
To me, it's going to change.
He's so focused on this fucking wall, pardon my language, but he fuck the damn wall, focus on us.
Grief here is mixed with anger at what some see as a tragedy 3 years in the making.
1, 2, check.
Hi, guys. Oh.
I know. It's difficult.
Hey. You guys are so sweet. I'm worried about all those families. We are heartened that this has been recognized for what it is, a racially motivated terrorist attack on our safe and tranquil community. The government should instruct federal agencies and law enforcement to draft a national plan to deal with white supremacy and domestic terrorism for what it is, a national crisis. Thank you all. We have a vigil to get to. Thank you for being here. Hey, I am so sorry about
How does your job change now that this is officially a terrorist attack?
I don't know that it changes my job. I think it changes law enforcement. I think it changes during the whole judicial process. There's a whole lot more we need to do as members of Congress to make sure that the law is as strong as it needs to be. Beto, join us.
Beto O'Rourke represented this district before Escobar.
We have a president right now who traffics in this hatred, who incites this violence, who calls Mexican immigrants rapists and criminals, who calls asylum seekers animals and an infestation. You may call a cockroach an infestation. You may use that word in the Third Reich. You do not expect to hear that in the United States of America in this age, in our generation.
Hey, how's it going? Yeah, they say he's going to come in the next couple of days.
Mm-hmm.
What do you want him to say here if he does come?
Well, I think he shouldn't come. And I would hope that he'd have enough self-awareness to understand that he made our community a target by essentially telling the country they should fear us and they should hate us.
On Monday, Escobar was back to legislating. She joined conference calls with local leaders, the Congressional Hispanic Caucus, House Democrats, and presidential candidates to strategize what to do next. By the end of Monday, some Democrats had a plan. Symbolically put the Republican leadership on the spot for their inaction.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you. It's so wonderful to see all of you. We are going to continue to be a community that celebrates who we are, where we are, who we love, all of the above, and nothing will change that.
I noticed that everything's just about the white nationalism and racism, and the gun part of it is starting to kind of fade. And so we've got a big banner like that, like one of those that says "Ban assault weapons, ready for Trump on Wednesday." And so we're hoping that if you could also mention, that's another part of it that can't be left out.
And just so that you know, my office got a call from House Judiciary staff. We are going to be, and this is not for public consumption yet, we are going to be called back during the recess to vote on more aggressive gun legislation. Tell me what's next.
Planning to go
We have to run and get flowers, right?